Hi guys, I'm Jen. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to talk about the danger of the enabler. So the enabler, so when you have the narcissist and the enabler can often come off as someone who is being strong-armed to the narcissist, and they seem like a victim in the situation. And sometimes you can be, like, if you don't know, before you can recognize who the narcissist is, and we think we're helping them, we think we're healing them, that's still enabling them, right? But we didn't know, like, we don't know exactly like how dark their personality types are. At that point, we think we're just thinking that they're struggling with life. They've had some, dark days, and we feel bad for them. We feel poor them, right? And and so once here's the thing, I think the enabler, there's two types of enablers. There's the ones that once you recognize the narcissist for who they are, you want to get away from them, because once you see someone's true colors, you can't go back. You can't look at, like, you can't unsee it, right? Excuse me. And so there's the enablers who will work their way to get out of that situation. And then there's other ones, like I've seen on some of these narc web pages or what YouTube pages, where people are like, my husband, and like they're still with them. And it's been a long-term marriage. And so I struggle with that. Like, I know not everyone can get out of the abuse right away. I get that part. But when I hear someone's been with the narcissist for years, that is a challenge for me, because what I've recognized is certain people that have been with a narcissist for a long period of time, they're actually benefiting from the narcissist in some way. And they're refusing to grow and elevate and become independent, which is mirroring that narcissist, right? Because the narcissist refuses to grow. They just want things given to them like a small child, as opposed to having to earn them and achieve them, right? And so that's the danger of the enabler who has been connected to the narcissist for so long, because they actually become more like the narcissist. It's like a shark and a feeder fish. And so you got to think, you feel bad for that enabler, because they're like, oh, you got to deal with that. And I see that. So I can't imagine how it is that you have to deal with that person. But the thing is, those enablers, like, whenever you try to like sympathize or empathize with them, and they'll talk shit about the narcissist. They'll like put him down, like, and they'll be like, yeah, I have to put up with all this stuff. But it's like, okay, well, why don't you leave? Well, he's not that bad. Or, and it's because they're getting, a lot of the times, it's financial stability, or what feels like stability, right? And so for me, I find that challenging, because like I've had a mother who stayed with my dad and was willing to, like, in order to keep herself comfortable, put children in the line of danger. And like, they may not see it like that. They may see it, well, I did what I had to do to keep my children safe. But like, when you realize like how unsafe the narcissist is and how damaging that is to them, like, what's safe then? And so a lot of people say, well, I'm if I leave, what am I supposed to do? I have nowhere to go. Now, for me, I've had to leave a number of very narcissistic, like, environments. So I've, when I had two kids, excuse me, two kids with this, with the kid's dad, we had a large house that we shared, and we had to sell it. And then there was another time when I had my own house, and I had the narc move in with me with his kids. And I had to kick him out after like 6 months, because he's treating my kids differently. He's being unfair. He was stealing things from me, from my groceries. He was stealing from me. Excuse me. I had yogurt, lactose. It was lactose, but it's not great. So the thing is there, oh, and then, okay, so then I also had two workplaces. I worked at Frunberg Knock, and that was crazy toxic for 2 years in Tilsonburg. And then I also worked at Bully Bunches in St. Thomas. And that one, I was able to recognize it sooner. So like at Frunberg Knock, I stayed there for 2 years and had to leave. And then at Bully Bunches, it was 6 months. And I could start seeing, and it was very different, but the same, on how I picked up on the abuse that was happening. And financial abuse. There's financial abuse there too, because like, you're never going to get promoted. They're going to tell you everything, and they're going to treat you like you know, and they play on your emotions. Like, I'm just such a busy boss and I can't manage to hire you right now. And it's like, no, I think you can. You both got 2 brand new cars over there. I think you can afford to hire me and pay me my worth. And so, like, they'll make all the exceptions as to why and all the excuses as to why they can't pay you more. So that is a form of financial abuse. And so I've experienced that in 2 different workplaces, and I still left them. I didn't know, like, at the time when I left Friedenberg Knock, I went on stress leave at first, and it just happened that my daughter, her place that she was in, she had to leave there too. And so she came and she paid her fair share here. And so that was helpful. And then I did get enrolled in like a second careers where they help pay some of your daily living kind of thing. So that was helpful, but it didn't last very long because when it, like that happened at Bully Bunches, and so like I had to quit that school because of what I was experiencing at Bully Bunches from some coworkers there, but also so like I was at Friedenberg Knock for 2 years, and then I was so I ended there at the end of August. I started Bully Bunches April 1st, and then I left there October 3rd of 2024. I think, no, 2024, it was Friedenberg Knock, August. And then I started Bully Bunches 2025 in April. So, and then I've been off from there since October, and I don't know how I'm doing it. I mean, I'm just figuring out, and then I realized I could withdraw some of my locked-in RSPs, which you assume locked-in means you can't, and I didn't know that at the time. I just left because I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I can see all the things lining up. This is happening the same way. This dude is like hiring like weird predators, and he doesn't care because he's making money. But is he? See, that's the thing. Like, you're just as weirded out about money. And they are too, because like they don't understand, like they don't get it. Like, when you hire certain people and you don't like value them or like find valuable people, like, they'll lose money. They don't see the bottom line like that. So I had to leave those environments because I had recognized a man that was stalking me, and I had to leave. And so, like I said, I didn't know how. Like, now my kids are on their own at this point and raising themselves, but there are times when I had my kids and I had to leave their biological father, and then I also had to have another partner removed from my house because it was so like one-sided, and he was showing favoritism, and I'm like, this is my one kid's home, and you're pushing my kids out kind of thing, and like it's affecting them negatively, and then you're also like, your kids have other areas to live. Like, this is my kid's one small bedroom, and it's like I'm having to and there's different rules. He was making different rules, and I'm like, that's unfair for the kids. He didn't want to put any rules to his kids, and there's just rules for mine, and that was unfair. That's not, you can't do that with kids. And so so I had to have him leave, and I was struggling through all these different times financially. So I know people will be like, well, I'm struggling financially, but it's like some people are, don't get me wrong, but there's some people who are staying because they don't want to lose their house. They don't want to lose their material, like their Amazon credit card or something, or like they just don't want to lose the capability or their ability to like shop all the time. They don't want to lose their Starbucks, their daily Starbucks. They don't want to lose, their location. They don't want to lose their status. Like, there are enablers who do that, and that's why they stay, is because their financial and like material needs and wants and status, like that kind of superficial stuff, is more important to them than their mental health, their emotional health, and their children. And then that's the unfortunate thing. And some people, I don't care, I'll hear about it in the comments, and those will be the ones that are like, I had to stay. And it's like, I understand in some scenarios, like there's you have to be strategic about it. But if you know and you can recognize what this damage is doing to you and your kids, you find ways to figure it out. You just do. That's like your survival mode. You're built for survival. You were raised in survival, so you're built for survival. So you can figure this out. So, oh, that's a hair. So it's interesting where, like, so the enablers, that's where it becomes really dangerous, because you look at them and you think they're the victim. And sometimes they are, but a lot of times they're not. And so like that mirrors the narcissist too, right? Like they're all going to play, the narcissist likes to play the victim. And then, so like I had a most recent situation with my neighbors here. Excuse me. My new neighbors, they've been here since last summer. And we had a situation yesterday They were cutting along the lawn and they made a big mess. And it's not the first mess. Like I've had to deal with a lot of their, like they're just so unaware. Like their dog, they have no problem. Like they got a new puppy in the summer, last summer. And like they're just leaving this dog on a leash outside by itself. They can't even manage to like sit outside while it goes pee. Like they literally have to send the dog out, leave it out there unattended, like to go pee and to hang outside. And I'm like, you can't even sit up. That's such a weird thing to me because it's like, that's your, like it's a puppy. Like that's an odd thing to me. Like they're so cute and like, but not only cute, but like they can get into a lot of mischief, which is a problem because there was a time where when they first got this puppy, when they first got it last year, like I could hear barking all the time. I'm like, what is going on? And one time it went on for like 20 minutes. And I was like, what is going on? So I went out there and I'm like, maybe they left her out here by herself, like, you know, and they're gone. I don't know. So I found her. She was tangled all underneath the deck leg. And she was freaking out because she couldn't move. She literally couldn't move anywhere. Of course, that's going to freak a puppy out, right? So she's barking 20 minutes because I was like, I've heard her bark before because she does this often. They will leave her out there. She would get tangled around the trees, around the fire pit. And then she will bark to get help. And or they would just leave her for long periods of time and just like, you know, she'll bark. And the thing is, it's not just a bark to let me in at the door. It's like she has to bark before they respond. Like they leave her for long periods of time before they respond. And I'm like, I'm home. So I noticed this stuff because I'm home all the time at that point. So at this point, it was like for 20 minutes, I'm like, what is something has to be wrong at this point, right? That's 20 minutes of consistent barking. And you know, you can hear a dog when they're in distress, right? And so I went out there and I untangled her and then I spent 10 minutes with her, playing with her because she'd just been tangled. It's like, that's 30 minutes where 20 minutes of the dog is barking, 10 minutes is silence, and the owner still has not come out. So at the end of 30 minutes, he finally comes out and I'm like, oh, she was tangled. He's like, oh yeah, she gets tangled. So we're gonna put in a fence. But it's like, okay, so you know she gets tangled. You know this to be true and you still leave her unattended. Like she could have choked herself out. She's a puppy. Not only that, puppies chew. That is like something, that is not something that you don't know about dogs. We see it in movies everywhere since birth. Like when you watch cartoons and you watch movies, you see that dogs chew. So like, you don't think that like she could chew through her leash and like escape? I mean, that wouldn't be a bad thing. But you know what I mean? Like, it's so odd how some people just don't think of that. Like they're not concerned about the safety of their dogs. And they also don't give a shit about their neighbors. Because like, the people that leave their dogs in the backyards unattended all day, it's like your dog is literally barking while people are like, I mean, if everyone's working a day shift, maybe you're fine. But when you're not, it's like, don't you think about that? So I thought that was odd that they don't think and consider their neighbors about the barking. So I had to, I asked him about that. I said, like, it's getting a bit obnoxious with this, right? With the barking all the time. And so like when I told him that, she came over within the minute and she was in my face, aggressive. So here's the thing. So like now I recognize her as being, because she's like, she's saying it's stress, but I'm like, I'm stressed and I don't react like that. So I'm like, you're on my list right now, like my red flag list. And I don't mind, I like to give people some chances because I'm like, we all can have bad days, but there's other weird things that I'm picking up as well. And so anyways, so then it's like, you see him struggling in the yard at times because whenever I go out, and I was working in the garage at the time, like their dog, like there's so many times, there's three times that I noticed, like my dogs are barking and their dog, because I could see him, I couldn't see the dog. I'm like, what are the dogs barking at? And I would see him step up on my step. I'm like, what are you doing on my step, bruh? Like, that's weird. And then I would see him pull the dog away. So anytime the dog got loose, she's running over to my yard. And then even when we're outside along the fence, she's always like, that's a weird thing to always want to be like over here and looking over here, because my dogs aren't always out. And while puppies are curious in nature, like, I don't know, like, I'm not right up against that fence, you know? So to me, that's an odd behavior, because puppies want to play with you. Why aren't you playing with your puppy, right? And so when I'm out in the garage working, they would let her out and she'd bolt right for me at my garage, like pulling her line really tight and into my driveway. And I'm like, I mean, you can't do that. Like, I got shit in my garage. She could reach around the corner. I don't want her. And I had bricks and stuff there. I'm like, you can't do, like, you got to maintain your pet. You got to take care of this. And I'm like, we're getting a fence. And he kind of played the whole, oh, this is so hard. Oh yeah, I'm struggling. Like, yeah, I know we're doing it, you know, but it's like, you're not doing it. Like, you're not doing anything different. And that's so, when I talk about the narcissist and enabler, when I looked at them, she was in my face aggressive, right? And to me, there's things that I remember saying that she seems really lazy. And, and then with him, like you're like, oh, I feel bad for him because it feels like he's stuck with her. But yesterday I had a situation where they had trimmed the lawn and left all the clippings. Like, I don't mind a fucking blade, like a couple blades of grass, and they're trying to make it seem like I'm being extreme, because that's what these people do, right? There's like a bunch of grass, and like the old owner used to just cut along there, and he would put like a sprinkle of blades and he would clean that up. So like there was quite a bit of grass there. And so I waited and I waited to see if they're going to clean it up, because like they had left their grass for so long, and this is what they did each summer. So I thought maybe they just needed time to get used to having a house and a yard, but no, that's just their style. And whatever, I recognize that we have different paces, and I don't care. I just don't want to worry about your work. Like, I don't want to do your job. So like, she had left all the clippings after cutting it, because we had talked about this when she had notified me about the fence going in, right? And so I'm like waiting and waiting, and it's like, I'm like, how long would that take me to sweep that up? 5 to 10 minutes. So like, because I'm working in the driveway and the yard is open, I can see like she's in her dress now, and I can smell the barbecue. So I'm like, okay, so like, you're done yard work, but you didn't clean this up. So I asked her, I'm like, are you going to sweep this up? And she's like, we could. I'm like, okay, thanks. And then I left it at that. And then I carried on, because I'm working in my yard and in my garage. So then they both come back, of course, because I could see him through the fence. He's like agitated because he's looking around like, where is she? Like, what the fuck? He's already at a 90 for a situation that is a 0. What do you expect me to do? How am I supposed to cut this? Like, there's going to be blades of grass. And I'm like, I'm not. And once again, they try to make you seem like you're the problem, and your request is just so extreme, right? And it's like, dude, you made a mess. Pick up after yourself. Because the thing is, too, here's the thing. Like, when the dog came onto my step, a number of times, I had like fat sitting out there that I was trying to freeze so I could throw it in the garbage, right? So the dog messed that shit up on my step, and that's a thing, like, keep control of your dog. And then I've been picking up plastic, because they left their dog unattended, and a number of times she's like chewing on plastic, and so now it's also coming through the fence, and it's blowing across the lawn. But like, it's not like I left it outside, oopsie. It's like, it's been blowing around that yard for months now. So like, it's not like there's 2 people over there. How do you not see that? And they don't care, because they're just not going to pick it up, and then they're just going to like mow it. But I'm picking it up because it's coming through the fence into my garden. And I didn't mention that either, because like, I've already seen how volatile she is. So I'm like, I'm trying to choose my battles, and I'm trying to like run it through my filter and be like, is this normal? Is this an issue? Right? But like, for me, if I clip something and I left a mess on someone else's driveway, I'm going to clean that up. So like, so now he's irritated. So remember when I felt bad from before? This is where you can't feel bad for these enablers, because they'll switch it up. And now they ride with the narcissist, you know what I mean? Where you think like, oh, I feel bad like having to live with that. But then you realize, like, so I try to tell him, I'm like, no, I don't expect you to sweep up every blade, but like, that's quite a mess you left there. And I said, and also, if you turn the trimmer a different way, you can actually cut it where it throws the grass clippings back onto the lawn. And that's what I said, like, just like that. But I couldn't finish it because he got all upset. He interrupted me. And this is a man in my face with his wife, and angry, and saying, well, how about I just hire a landscaper and I'll get them to cut it and you can pay for it? And I'm like, whoa, okay, that's extreme. I was just saying, like, I'm laughing now because I'm like, when you realize, like, after this, it gets worse. But after the situation, you're just like, what the fuck just happened? So that's when you know you're dealing with this crazy energy, because you're like, what? Because here's the thing: if you're an overthinker, an overworker, what is it? An over empath, over, but underappreciated, underpaid, like you. The overthinking part of you, and like growing up in an environment where you were never allowed to express your emotions, you're very careful and controlled of your emotions until the reactional abuse happens, right? So like for me, I'm used to like maintaining my emotions because I didn't have a choice growing up, and there was a period of time where I couldn't control my emotions because I was now purging and releasing them, right? So now I've gotten good because I recognize these people try to control, like, so they're trying to get real loud and they're trying to go extreme and they're trying to make me the problem. So they want me to be small and they want me to stop and they want me to be quiet, right? They don't like the accountability. All I'm having is conversations with them to get clarity, and they're getting so defensive quite quickly. That's them trying to like shut shit down. And then they're also teaming against me, right? There's two. This doesn't involve both people. Mind you, I don't mind it because like I said, the first issue I talked to the husband and then she came at me, and that, like, it would have been better if there was the two of us having the same conversation, because at first I was like, maybe that's telephone happening. Now I'm realizing it's not. He's just as dramatic as she is. So that's another thing. Like, you think, oh my God, it's like something being misconstrued. Is she manipulating him? No, they're both manipulative. They're both dramatic, and they're both emotionally unhinged. And that's what you got to be careful of, because I used to get caught up with people like, that were considered the enablers, and we always kind of feel sorry for them, but like you feel sorry for the narcissist too, and that's how you got caught in their trap. So you can get caught in the trap of the enabler if you continue to like feel bad for them. Think about what you had to do. You had to do things on your own, become independent. That's what you're meant to do. So like these people are meant to do that too. So like when you think you're going to rescue the enabler, they're a feral animal, just a different version than the narcissist, right? They're going to be like that Puss in Boots with the big sad eyes and act like they're some sort of victim of the situation, where, let me tell you, there's different scenarios where that can be the case. But when you know that enabler recognizes a narcissist for who they are and they've decided to stay instead of leave, that for me is an unsafe person. I'm going to make a video about safe people and unsafe people. And so, yeah, and so like they're trying to make it seem like I'm extreme in my requests, and I'm literally just trying to communicate to figure out what the fuck is going on. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to get them to clean up. They were like, this is your property anyways, you can cut this from now on. I'm like, okay. The previous owner was cutting it, no problem. So like I have no problem, because they wait so long and it drives me nuts. Anyways, I didn't want to step on their toes and like, make it seem like I am a perfectionist. At times I take pride in my property, but it's also, for me, I like to keep up with it because I know how easy it is for things to get piled up for me. And so for me, mentally, it's healthier for me to keep on top of things. And so I guess I say perfectionist, but really it's just trying to maintain so things don't get overwhelmed. So they're like, you can cut this. I'm like, okay. I think they thought that was a threat. I'm like, I would love to cut this because it looks like shit when you do it. And I'm not much better, but I'm trying, and there's effort there. There's no effort over there. And that's the difference between this, right? It's people who, like, I can understand people struggling in life. I understand that. But like, there's more to the story. So like, it's the fact that when I'm trying to communicate, you're elevating this to an extreme where it doesn't need to be there. It's just a conversation for clarity. And they take it as an attack. They take it as like any sort of like, the fact that they made a mess and I asked them to clean it up, and the fact that they've got a dog and I'm asking them to be accountable and considered as a neighbor, like they hate that because it means they have to do work. And they don't want to do work. They want all the benefits without the work. And now, especially when you have two of these people together, that's where we'll talk about that. But so it got to the point where I was just like, I missed the old neighbor. I literally told that guy that. It just came out. I don't know how to, I'm like, I really miss Jake living there. Just because it was no big deal. It's like, if you saw the strip of lawn that we're arguing over, it really takes no time to do it. And it's just that, like I said, there's no effort there. There's no pride in the work, and they just don't give a shit, and then they make a mess, and they're expecting me to clean it up, which is odd. And like, you know what? Maybe it wouldn't be so bad if you didn't leave it for so long. Maybe that grass sprayed over onto my area wouldn't have been such a big deal if you didn't leave your work for periods on time. So then, I don't know if it's before or after, but she's like, everyone thinks you're a bitch. Everyone here I've talked to, they think you're a bitch. And I'm like, I don't talk to anyone. So I found that kind of funny because she's like, everyone thinks you're a bitch. I'm like, I don't talk to anyone. Like, I literally thought, and I'm like, I don't talk to anyone. So like, that's a lie. That's not true. She's like, I've talked to people. And then I thought about it after, like the only people I've talked to in this area are people who have their dogs off leash, entitled. And I'm allowed to say that because I used to be that person. So I'm allowed to say that. And it's frustrating because like unless your dog has 100% recall, like your dog can't be off leash. Like the people that she could be considering that I talked to that hate me or whatever, think I'm a bitch. Like I had to talk to them about their dogs being off leash because they were coming up to my dogs. I'm like, I don't know that my dog won't bite yours. And if that happens, my dog is on the leash and yours is not. So it's not going to be my issue. It's going to be your issue. And I literally said it like that, like in the way that like, I mean, as you may want to protect your dogs, you know? And so like maybe that's who she's talking to. She went like everyone. And it could be the back neighbors. I don't really know. I don't talk to them either because like she seems really gossipy. She was talking about one of our neighbors were moving out. She was talking about all his finances. And I'm like, okay, so like if you're talking about his finances, I don't know how long they live there, but you seem friendly with them. So like that means you're going to talk about my finances, you know? So I distance. And then she was also like, anyways. So I don't talk to a lot of my neighbors because I have high standards for who I keep close to me because I don't want gossip girls. I want people I can trust. I'm not gonna let's just think about this. I'm gonna be required to have like do all the work with these relationships the way they're behaving because for the neighbor, it's like she's a gossip girl, so now I have to like watch what I say. I don't that's not a friendship when you have to be careful and you can't trust them. And that's not good intentions for me when you have nothing else to say but gossip. That's not, and they drink a lot and I just don't. I find that at some age, you're meant to grow out of heavy drinking. So to me, it's just not a lifestyle that I choose or support. And then we also saw this. Oh yeah, okay. So like this lady next door, she's like, everyone thinks you're bitchy. You're a bitch. That's what she says. You're a bitch. And then she's like, you're a cunt. And I'm like, whoa. See, we're literally talking about, we were having a conversation about cleaning up after yourself. And how did we jump? That's what I mean. Like when I came from this situation, I was like, what the fuck just happened? And that's how you know you've been hit by a narcissist. That's how you know. Because there's something that says, what the fuck just happened? Because you are normally if you're overcompensating for other people's like wounds and toxicity. So you have to compensate. You've been doing this since childhood because you had a parent like this. So like that's the thing. When that happens, you're used to being coddling to these people, compromising, overgiving. The cool girl, what is it? The cool girl, what's that? Like you're fawning, you're people pleasing. That's who you are. That's who you've been growing up. So like the thing is when something like this happens, it triggers you and like that is crazy what is going on here because you have started so below standards. You have been so coddling that it's like, it's hard to watch sometimes, right? And so like these people require you to be like that. They require that. And so like when you start to like just have a neutral conversation, that's why they get triggered. You're holding me accountable? What? Like the shock you'll have after experiencing this also is like I said, the shock of like the fact that the enabler is just as bad as a narcissist in a lot of cases. And the shock is just like that these are grown ass adults. They have full-time jobs. Some of them are very successful, make a lot of money. And that's the shock. It's like, when you see, we had skating lessons for our kids when they were younger because I thought that was important because my parents didn't do that. So I thought, I want my kids to be able to skate because it's physical and it's fun. And so we would take them skating there. And I would remember, like, you have different classes. So you're waiting for the class to come off before you go on. And I remember there was this, you'd see like this, there's different skill levels by age groups. And I remember this one little kid, he looked so tiny. And I've seen this a couple times, to be honest. So it's not just a one instance, but when you see this little kid on the ice and it looks like they're not even, like you shouldn't even be able to walk, let alone zip around the ice like they're professional ice skaters, but they shouldn't even be able to stand up on 2 feet. That's how tiny these kids look, right? So when you see something like that, it's conflicting because it doesn't, to me anyways, because I'm like, it's struggling for me to ice skate, to find stability, which some of this is kind of metaphoric, right? And so when you see these other people that are like, you know, buying houses that are expensive or maintaining jobs that get paid a lot, and you're just like, and then when you try to have like a conversation like this and communicate, and they're just like a feral animal, your brain goes into like, what the fuck? Like, it's such a weird, you know, and like I could see other things where I'm like, she doesn't seem very successful, because I see these odd behaviors that are not disciplined, you know, kind of lazy, and like, you know, things that people tend to prioritize over other things. So I'm like, that's kind of weird. And then you see like the lack of communication. I'm like, and then she called me a bitch, and I'm like, what? And like, this is wild. It's wild. And so it's a play on them, because you make associations with certain people, and you just assume certain things. And I'll do a video about that. But anyways, excuse me. So like I said before, in the beginning, I used to kind of feel bad for him. Now I do not, because he was in my face. He was aggressive. And it's not only just that he's a man, but like, it's her too, and she's aggressive. Now you're both coming at me. Like, are you kidding me? Who does that? Like, I was embarrassed for them, for this, the words that she was using, the hissy fit that he was throwing. I'm just like, what is, you feel like you're in the Twilight Zone, because you're like, what is going on here? Like, we're just having a conversation about property lines and cleaning up after yourself, and like different expectations. You know, it's just different expectations. And like, I can, like I said, she's like, you can clean this up now. I'm like, okay. Thank you. Now I don't have to wait for them to do it, right? Because I'm just kind of sitting out there like, you know, it's growing, it looks like shit. I'm like, I don't mind just doing it, because I'm just going to get it done, you know? Anyway, so that happened to me yesterday. It was a beautiful day. I actually had, okay, this was just supposed to be about narcissists and enablers, but here's the twist, okay? So like, you think about karma. I'll do another video about karma, but like, because I'm conflicted about karma at times. But like, here's where I got karma. So for one, you think, what is their karma? Okay, they have to live there. Okay, so like, when you experience this, you're just like, what the fuck? And then you feel like, wow, that's unjust and unfair. But then you got to think like, that's how they communicate. How do you think they communicate with each other? What do you think that household looks like? Like, the guy who I knew that lived there before, I don't know how he fueled his energy, but he was such a hard worker. And, you know, maybe because he's young, that could be too. I don't want to dismiss it like that. He's a hard worker, because there's young, lazy kids, right? He was a hard worker, and he really redid that house. And I can just imagine they're just probably like destroying it, because there's things outside I can already see that they're not maintaining and are going to affect the building long term in an expensive way. And so, and just like that, so like, they're gonna have each other's backs, right? In this case, but who holds who accountable? Like, who's doing the laundry? Who's doing the dishes? Who's like cleaning? And who's and this is why I think like the dog was always left out by itself, because none like, and I think that's why it would take them forever to bring her back in when she was barking. And now I'm like, because they're probably fighting over who's gonna let her in. Like, that's the level of lazy over there, right? You got a dog, but you don't want to do, and like I said, this is very different than like experiencing depression and not being able to take care of the dog because you had the dog and then you got the depression. That's very different. These people are assholes, like fucking assholes. And it is just wild. So like, that's their, like, I can you imagine, like, it sucks to have to live next door to them, but they're not out very often. And I've installed a pond with a pump in it, so it makes like nice watery noises. And I've got headphones, and I'm gonna put like some wind chimes and then play the radio. Like, I'm gonna drown them out. It's crazy. I've caught her watching me, which is weird. I just remember looking up, and she was like staring at me, and I'm like, oh my God. And we don't talk. So I'm like, what is she watching me for? Because you know when you look up and you're like, someone watching me, and you're like, okay, and oh, okay, you're really watching me. So yeah. So then the nice thing was, so I was like, you know what? I need to get out of my backyard more. And this is actually, I'm getting up and ready to like get out more, which is good. You know, I need to get away from these fuckers, which is fine. Like, it's my backyard and that's my backyard, but I'm ready to get up and get going now, because I'm recovering from all this abuse. And so, so then I went to the park, and there was this dude there who is disc frisbee. I'm like, I'm just walking the dogs. I'm not very close to him at all. Like, I can see there's someone over there. but I can't see who it is. I can't see if it's a man or a woman. I don't know really what they're doing. I could see eventually he threw a frisbee, and so I was walking, and then he looked over and he waved, and I'm like, oh, that's friendly. And then I came back around, and then he was collecting all his discs and stuff, and then we just had a little chat there, you know. As I told, I have I'm like, I have a couple sets at home, but I never use them because like the Elmer course is right by water, and I'm just not that confident in my skill set. And I said, I like that you're practicing here because that makes a lot of sense. Like, I just, sometimes you just don't think of certain things. I'm like, that's a good idea. I should practice here to get better at it, and then I can go there. And he's like, yeah. And then he suggested another course. So I'm like, that's cool. And then I came around and I found one of his frisbees because he had kind of did a walk around, and then I found one, and then I called him back to get it. And it's just a friendly interaction. I'm like, oh, nice to meet you, you know, because I'm sure he's local, but I've never met him before. And that was friendly. So, like, it's so interesting how these people will try to paint, the narcissist will try to paint you out as unreasonable, like you're the emotional one, like you're the one that everybody hates. But it's actually because I actually talked to someone, and they were wondering about who's moving in next door to me, and the tone that they used was kind of like unsavory, like if it's who they thought it was. And I'm like, oh, I don't know, I haven't seen her yet, so I don't know if that's who it is. Because she was like, oh, I wonder if it's this couple. And I'm like, I don't know. And this person usually knows a lot that's going on because they are in a hear of things, right? So I found that the tone she was kind of like using was like if it is them, without saying it, I got the idea, like, oh, like, hope, like her her tone was saying, hopefully it's not them. And I think it is now. Now that I think of, like, now that I've met them, I'm wondering if that's what she was referring to. And it's interesting because they're like, or she, because he didn't say that, but like he had his own issue going on. Everyone thinks you're a bitch, and I'm like, I think everyone thinks she's a bitch, because that is that's an extreme reaction from both of them for something such as that. Like, that's extreme. It didn't have to go there at all. It was a conversation that they elevated into like drama and chaos. It was crazy. And so so the good thing was, after I met someone, and he was friendly and it was easy to talk to, and you know what, because I've been trying to get it, build my confidence and get out of my comfort zone, and it was easy to talk to this dude. And yeah, so that was like a bonus from what I've experienced. And then I was talking to my daughter, and I was explaining it to her. I'm like, this is like, I couldn't not laugh because of the extreme, like, with 0 to 9, like, it was just extreme. The situation was extreme. So then I also made a police report to protect myself, and I will no longer, like, you know what? I gave her a one-off. This is also cemented. Like, once someone shows you, don't make excuses. Like, she's like, oh, my job is stressed and blah, blah. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm stressed, and I'm not treating people like that. So this is just another lesson where don't give, don't give chances. Don't, reconnect friendly with people unless you've received that confirmation, like, I did this, I feel bad, I'm going to change it, and like, maybe we can move forward at that point. Like, I didn't receive any at that point, but I just thought, like, she had talked to me about the fence and it seemed friendly, so I'm like, okay, maybe we're moving past like the original thing. And they had been working on the dog barking, so I saw that as like a move forward. But like, you can't come back from that bitch and cunt word. You can't, not with me. You can't come back from that. That's crazy. And if that's how you jump so quickly for the smallest things, that is more than unsafe. That is so fucking sewage toxic. It's not even funny. It's like I said, I'm still like, when I was talking to my daughter about this, I was like, this is wild over here. Like, this is, because she has a couple ideas of what I talked to about before, so she has an idea of what they're like. But I was just like, this is wow. Like, I still can't stop laughing at it because I'm just like, this is, and I'm like I said, I was just so embarrassed for them. Like, how do you behave like that to other, like, you usually, sometimes you treat your other family like you're a little bit more comfortable with your language, with your tone, so you're, you don't feel like you got to be sing-songy because like your family knows you, and you're just like, it's neutral, and that's fine, right? We're not friendly, we're not friends, and to show that side to me, that's wild. Like, I don't think that's healthy for anybody. I'm not trying to like say that, but like to address somebody, especially that you don't know. Like, I don't like to say it like that, because usually, like, when things, like, life can be emotional. I understand that, you know, and there, we can get triggered. So like, I'm not setting aside like human factors. This is so unacceptable. And the thing is, you know what I noticed the first time I met her and she was in my face on my front doorstep. The fact is that she was so, when you see people that are so comfortable to talk to you, that's what I'm trying to get at. Like, that's why I'm trying to see, like, the fact that she's so comfortable elevating this, talk to me like this, and her husband in my face, two people taller than me. Not a challenge. It's not hard to be taller than me. But at the same time, it's like, or you, who are you? And I felt fine because I'm like, I actually feel fine because I'm strong and I'm not going to put up with this shit anymore because I've dealt with it for so long. And that's what I mean. That's what they want. They want you to feel small. They want you to feel like I did something wrong. And they also want you to feel like, they want you up in your head like, oh my God, people don't like me. And I'm like, people don't like me. I'm good with that, because if everyone likes you, that's a problem, I feel, because that means you're a people pleaser. And I used to be there, and I don't like that. And that was never good for me because it meant I had to live my life for other people. So that's another thing that made me laugh. Everybody thinks you're a Mitch. Nobody likes you. I'm like, I don't talk to anybody. And like I said, the people I talk to is because I had to set them straight because of their boundaries. And if that's why they don't like me, that's even better. Stay away, you know? So once again, another, it's like the threat of like, well, you have to cut this yourself. Okay. Well, nobody likes you, and that's why they think you're a bitch, and they don't want to be around you. Okay. Like, where's the problem here? Because the thing is, the people that they're talking about are their people. And that's what's going to happen. I recognize this, her behavior in a number of different connections. So this woman and the way she's reacting like that when I put up a boundary with her, I had this in a situation in a workplace at Frunberg Knock, and her name was Charlotte, and she was talking shit about everybody else, and I can assume just from her behavior that she's talking shit about me. And if you learn how to read body language and kind of see like where people are watching, like you can pick up on some stuff too. And it's a safe assumption when people are like making digs about other people, especially for like superficial things like their clothing, you know, and then we're talking shit about their work, and I'm like, but your work sucks worse. So like, you know what I mean? So those are signs to me. I'm like, their discernment is not the greatest. The reception and their ability to like pick up on things is not great. So this lady reminded me a lot about her, because what happens is, you know, when you put a boundary down and they think you're good with them, then they kick back and go into feral mode. And then what happens now is they're going to go around and they're going to talk shit. You know, they'll probably have like a group chat, you know, that they're all in on Facebook because that's their hobby. Like they won't like, you know, it is what it is. And so like, that's where they're going to go, and they're going to try to bring other people to turn against me. And like, at first I was like, that's disappointing, because these are people that I thought were friends with me when I was in that environment. But when you realize like they're doing the dirty work for you, clear it out. Take those people with me. People that were on the fence with me were never for me. So like, just remove it, because now I'm saving my energy. And now, like when I was in that workplace, I would give my energy to those people. I'd be kind to them. I would bring stuff in and share, right? So like you're wandering around, you're talking shit behind my back still, but now you're angry, and now you're like lying about me to other people, and they're believing the lies. Tell me again how that's an issue. It used to feel disappointing and painful at first, but like I said, when you recognize the people that they're talking to are their people, it's not an issue. And that's the thing, the people that they're referring to that think I'm a bitch, if that's the case, and I wouldn't doubt that for certain people, like I said, those are like them. Like attracts like. Those are those people that they all back each other, just like the narcissist and the enabler. They're backing each other's bad behavior, right? Because it makes them feel good, and it keeps them so stuck and stagnant that they don't have to grow. They don't have to be accountable. They don't have to clean up after themselves, and they don't have to do anything, because the other one's going to, so I can only imagine what the household looks like over there when that's happening. Because like I said, nobody wants to do the work. It's like teenagers. No, I don't even want to say that, because some teenagers can be clean. You know what it is? I don't know. It's just immature. They're just immature people. And like, imagine what that looks like. They can't even get up to let the dog in. Can you imagine? Anyways, that's the karma. And that's the, you know what? It doesn't bother me anymore. Go tell the neighborhood about me. They already know. So what is that? So you're telling me now, like you're putting a divide between, like the right people are going to hear them and recognize them. Just like when I saw her And when she came over like that, and it was before we even had that first conversation, there was things because I can hear her. She's right across the fence there, and I could see her. I was already picking up on stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of odd. Not to prejudge, but just to be aware of, like that seems odd. That's because when you've experienced this for so long, you pick up those things and you're like, oh, that, and you got to be careful not to make assumptions either way. So I had to recognize, and I'll do a video about assumptions. Like there were assumptions I made and there's some assumptions I had to make because of what I was seeing. So, yeah, so like I said, I called the police. I've made a report to protect myself. I will no longer accept communication from them. That's where my boundaries now are. That's what they've created. That's sort of like, if they want to do work on the fence, they need to provide me with a 24-hour notice through register mail, because I won't be accepting communication at the fence anymore, like at the property line. And yeah, like I said, I protect myself. I sent in a detailed report of everything that I've experienced with them. And so the police are aware of what is happening here. And yeah, so that's my definition, or I guess description of like the narcissist and the enabler. You think that, oh, I feel bad, like they're just a victim in this. And like I said, sometimes they are, but, and I'll have to do a more detailed, I think, video on that, because like, I've learned, I don't want, this is already getting pretty long. I'll do a different video, because there's people that I can recognize as like trying to, get away from the narcissist, and like, you can't always just jump out of there, and you can be stuck in sort of confusion and stuff. So I'll also do a different video about that. But there are people who are just like, they're not willing to sacrifice their comforts, their creature comforts, in order to remove themselves from the abuse. And so they just kind of accept it. And then they also become more like the narcissist. And that's a dangerous place to be in. So hopefully this is helpful. And be sure to like and subscribe if you're looking to recognize and recover and heal from abuse and thrive from it. So like I'm in my thrival right now, where I'm starting to level up, and I've learned to really recognize it, where it doesn't take me down emotionally like it used to. And especially when you start to recognize it, and you no longer have it, no longer creates that self-doubt. Now you can be like, okay, no, check, I gave you a get out of free jail card. No, and now you just show me, oh, that's the same, you're the same person. I'm getting good with calling them out, because I'm creating, conversations there to where there's gray zones, and seeing how they respond to that. Like that should have been like a very normal conversation, and they blew it, both of them, out of the water. So that shows me exactly how they communicate and who they are. And so that to me says case closed. These people are unsafe. And to see where they're at, oh, I can see a bunch of cardinals over there. To see where they're at right now, that takes like they're very, like, they're like toddler immature. That's going to take a lot of growth over there to get to a place where, I would want to be around them, and so that's case closed. And that's all there is to it. So if you're struggling with this kind of stuff and you need help, I'm going to put my email in the description box, I think. And you can reach out for a one-on-one coaching session. For 1 hour, it is $200, and you're going to get a lot of tools and tips to be able to start recognizing this stuff, so you can move through it faster. And yeah, so hopefully that is helpful. And be sure to like and subscribe if you're finding this content helpful, so you can learn how to, like, sometimes it's nice just to have a confirmation from someone who's experienced it. And I'm not here to tell you who's a narcissist and who's not. That's not my job, because I'm not a doctor, and I don't do that either. I mean, some doctors can't even do it. And I just, for me, I'm going to do a video, but like based on like who is safe and who is not. I think that's more important, instead of labeling people narcissists and stuff. So I think maybe I'll do that video next. And so you got to subscribe and like if that's what you're looking for. So thank you for watching. I appreciate any support you can give. I'm looking for any comments in the bottom so we can connect. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.